You've probably heard me talking about this self-sufficient living skills bundle that's been going on. And I have been spending the last week flipping through so many of the incredible resources within this bundle. Now, I will say there's a lot. There's over 118 different ebooks and courses and lessons sharing incredible wisdom and knowledge with you so you can live off the land and you don't have to rely on this corrupt and broken system for everything for your family. Anyways, I wanted to share some of my favorite things. One, first off, is off-grid homeopathy. This course is loaded with so much incredible knowledge, talking about homeopathy for first aid, for colds and flu, how to make your own homeopathic remedies. Like, as an herbalist who loves to teach that stuff, that's pretty exciting to hear it in the homeopathy realm. There's also some incredible fermentation guides, so many other amazing herbal recipes and food recipes, and how to make your own sourdough bread, how to do your own organic gardening and canning of all of your foods. Really, there is so much. And yes, I know. I've talked about it a ton, but this entire bundle is only $50 right now until Sunday, March 24th. I'm sharing my herbal first aid skills, which is a course that's $47 on its own. I'm sharing recipes that I used when I got my products into REI for herbal first aid kits and so much more. You'll have to check it out. I'm serious. Like, you can absolutely change your life with this bundle. So there is a link in the show notes for you, and I hope you check it out. I hope you take advantage. Don't worry, you don't have to go through everything right away. You can access everything for up to a year. Once you're in the course or have the download, it's yours for life. It is a steal of a deal. Okay, self-sufficient living skills bundle in the links for you. Hello and welcome to the Herbalist Path, a podcast where you'll discover how to make your own herbal remedies at home so that you can take better care of yourself, better care of your family, and better care of our planet. I'm Mel. I'm a clinical herbalist, environmental educator, and mountain living mama with this crazy passion for teaching more mamas and their little loves how to use plants as medicine in a safe, effective, and tasty way so that there can be an herbalist in every home. Again, it's an absolute honor to have you on the journey down the herbalist path with me so that together we can make herbalism #spread like wildflowers. And I'm so glad you are tuning into this episode right now because, well, 'tis the season. In this episode, I'm going to talk about 3 of my absolute must-have herbs to grow in your family medicine garden and why I choose those herbs, of course. So I'm up on Mount Hood. It's mid-March right now, and we're like dancing the days between the really rainy and dreary and sometimes snowy days to the like bright and sunny, oh my gosh, the birds are singing and I feel alive kinds of days. Do you know what I mean? And if you are like me, please let me know. Like, those gray, dreary days just drag on for me this late in the winter, early spring season. And it's so funny. Like, I'll have a gray day and like my mood is totally gray. Or the next day, it'll be bright and sunny like it is today. You might hear it in my voice, but that sunshine brings me life and happiness and excitement to see all of my plant friends popping up and just knowing that soon I'll be recording these episodes out on my back deck and doing all of my work outside. Like, that stuff really, really excites me. And of course, that means that all of our kiddos are going to be outside playing too, right? Riding bikes, jumping on the trampoline, swimming, all of the fun things, which inevitably bring up all kinds of, mom emergency issues. So I figured I would focus this episode on some of my favorite herbs, as I was saying before, for the summertime season and just when you have to take care of kids. So let's get into it, shall we? So actually, this first herb I want to talk about is comfrey or Symphytum officinale. And one, there's so many reasons I love it, right? One, it's super duper easy to grow. Do be careful. It will take over your garden area if you allow it to. It's also really nutritive for the garden. So you can make a comfrey compost tea, or you can use the comfrey leaves in your soil, and it will provide a lot of great nourishment for all of your other garden plants. It attracts the good bees and keeps their cute fuzzy bumbling butts all kinds of happy around them. If you have chickens, they do like to feed on the comfrey. And let me backtrack a little because I taught a salve class live and in the flesh this past weekend around my community, which I haven't done in years, since pre-pandemic. So it was super duper cool. We made a first aid salve and we used comfrey in it. And today, 2 hours before I hit record on this podcast, one of the mamas that was in that salve class reached out to me and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't think I would need this so soon, but my 3.5-year-old daughter just broke her leg on the trampoline. What was that plant that you told me helped with broken bones?" Well, that plant is comfrey. Comfrey is absolutely amazing for sprains and strains and those broken bones. But for the broken bones, you do want to make sure the bones are set first by the doctor, or you're going to encourage that healing to happen so speedily that it could create chronic pain and inflammation on down the road. So be careful with that. But it's absolutely a plant that I use on the regular for people in my community that have a sprained ankle or any kind of body aches and issues in that way. It's also fantastic for bruising. It's really rich in this cool constituent called allantoin, and allantoin has been proven to help with skin cell regeneration. So it's really great for wounds and cuts and scrapes as well. It's also something I use every day. I forgot about it until I was teaching a full-on gardening class inside of Apothecary Mama the other week. And I recognized that, oh my gosh, I do use comfrey every day in my own facial oil. So that's pretty cool to think about. I'm not touching it in looking at the plant, but I certainly did when I made the oil. Anyways, great for skin cell regeneration. And I'm 44, so I'll use that. If you know what I mean. I love getting older. I love being in the 40s. It's great. And I'm not afraid of looking older, but if I can preserve my skin a little bit extra, why the heck not, right? So comfrey's amazing for that. So wounds, cuts, scrapes, first aid issues along those lines, taking care of my mama's skin, broken bones, bruising, sprains, and strains. These are all topical remedies. I will say that comfrey is pretty rich in pyrizinylene alkaloids, and they are a compound that is toxic to the liver when taken internally. So some people still ingest comfrey, but if you are somebody with liver health issues, I highly recommend that you don't. So comfrey, grow it in your garden. Make sure it doesn't take over everything in your garden or you're going to be bummed. Another plant that, I probably talk a lot about because it's so stinking amazing and it's beautiful. It's going to look so nice in your garden. But echinacea, if she's not the queen of herbalism, when people think about plant medicine, they see this beautiful purplish cone flower, right? Purple cone flower. That's one of its nicknames. But echinacea is amazing. Sure, she's super well known for immune health, which she's a great immunomodulator. She's a great immune stimulant. Absolutely love having echinacea on hand throughout cold and flu season or the first sign of sniffles and sneezes in my little kiddo. We also use echinacea like as a wound wash or for infections in the mouth because it is antibacterial and can fight off any kind of bacterial infections that may be going on. It's also really nice. It's a lymphatic herb. So if you have stuck and swollen lymph tissue, it will get that stuff moving. And again, it's beautiful. So it's going to happify the soul in that way. And I think we could all use all the soul happifying possible, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure of it. So you can use the echinacea flower and the leaf as good medicine. I will say you got to be kind of patient with the roots. You're looking at like 3 to 4 years before you can harvest the roots for medicine. But thankfully, there are amazing local herb farmers and small herb farms and other great herb companies that you can get your echinacea from. And I highly, 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 highly encourage and recommend that you absolutely only buy organically cultivated echinacea because it did get so popular in the 80s and 90s that everyone's like, woohoo, look at this herb. It's going to make me rich. Let's put it all in a pill. And everybody just harvested the crap out of it, even though it was abundant throughout the United States, particularly like the breadbasket on East. And now it's an at-risk plant. And that's really unfortunate. And speaking of at-risk and other kinds of plants, which happens more and more as herbalism gains in popularity and everybody thinks wildcrafting is super cool, but they don't take the time to actually like care about the plants and future generations. There's an organization that I highly encourage you to look up. It's United Plant Savers. It was started by Rosemary Gladstar and some other really amazing people have been keeping it going over the years. And they share information on plants that are at risk or endangered or any of these kinds of things. And when that is the case, it is really, really important that you do support that organic agriculture, because they're tending the land, they're ensuring that these crops are coming back for future generations, so we don't have to say, oh no, sorry kid, that plant was amazing for immune health, but everybody's greedy, so we don't have it anymore. Wah, wah, wah. Okay. Bit of a soapbox moment there, but a really, really important one, and one that needs to be talked about more and more. So if you catch my drift on that one, please catch it and toss it around to all your friends too. So yeah, echinacea, great for immune health, for a wound wash. I like it for like mouth and tooth infections, for lymphatic system health, and just because she's gorgeous to grow. So another plant that I think is imperative as we head into like everybody get outside and play kind of season and we have children and all that kind of fun stuff is yarrow or Achillea millefolium. And I grow yarrow in my garden. It does grow pretty readily around where I live, but this plant is so freaking smart. It's like this super duper brilliant plant. And the reason I say that, you may be like, yeah, the plant's smart, Mel. Okay, I get it. But no, seriously, get this. Yarrow is what's called a styptic. It will stop bleeding. So really great if you're out camping and somebody cuts their thumb open while they're slicing the garlic for dinner or whatever, and they're just bleeding all over the place. Yarrow. I'm sure it's growing around your campsite. If you're lucky, you should look for it when you get there. You can use that yarrow to stop that bleeding and avoid a trip to the ER. Super duper rad. I have avoided numerous trips to the ER thanks to yarrow. Before I get on to the other part of why it's so amazing and smart, I mean, this is smart too, but it's also an antimicrobial herb. So it's going to fight off bacterial or fungal pathogens that might be trying to get into the body and infect that cut or that wound spot. So not only are you stopping the bleeding, you are also preventing infection. Super duper neato. And yes, if like it's a femoral artery gushing all over the place, use the yarrow and get to the friggin' hospital as quickly as you can. You know, there is a point where yes, it's totally cool to go to the hospital. So be smart about that. And now, back to why yarrow is so stinking smart, because as I just said, it will stop the bleeding. It will prevent infection. And if you are a woman who is experiencing stuck menses, you know you're not in menopause, you know you are not pregnant, and you are not bleeding on your regular cycle, and maybe you feel congestion and stagnation in the pelvic region, yarrow can be epic to actually encourage the flow of blood. So that's where I say it's so darn smart. It is smart enough to know that, hey, I need to stop this bleeding from happening right now, to all the way on the other side of the spectrum. Oh my gosh, this woman needs to bleed. Let's make it happen. Like, hello, tell me plants aren't intelligent. They're brilliant. They are so smart and so amazing and mind-blowing, quite frankly. They're just beautiful. So yarrow is definitely a plant to have in your garden. It grows super duper easily. It also happyfies the bees, as does the echinacea. So let's keep those bees happy all over the place, right? You can also use the yarrow flowers during times of cold and flu. It is a diaphoretic herb, so it's going to help the body to release a bit of heat through encouraging your body to sweat or perspire. That is how we release heat. So yarrow is a really, really wonderful friend to have on hand to support the body during the fever process. And it's beautiful too. So it's pretty amazing. Like, gosh, I could gush and gush on and on about these plants forever. If you didn't gather that, maybe that's why I have a podcast about herbs. We actually just did a whole like deep dive workshop inside of Apothecary Mama 2 weeks back. We did it on like the top 10 medicinal herbs to grow inside of your family herb garden. We recently did one on seasonal allergies and how you can like get rid of having seasonal allergies every year. We do so many amazing classes inside of Apothecary Mama. Like sometimes maybe this sounds weird, but sometimes I look at like all the content in there and I'm like, holy cow, I put that together. Oh my gosh, if somebody would have only given me that when I started on my herbal learning journey, it would have been amazing. Anyways, it's super fun in there. I love it. I really love it. And all that being said, I hope that you choose to grow these 3 herbs in your garden or support somebody who does grow them organically, because that is really important. And if you do any of those, please reach out to me and let me know that you heard the show or that you liked the show or that you're super excited to grow these plants because you didn't know they did something. I would love to hear that, because that means all this time talking into a computer in a room by myself means that you actually care and you're learning, and it's so worth it. So please hit me up, email me, shoot me a DM, do whatever you gotta do. I just love to hear from you. So thank you so much again for taking this time out of your day to listen to another episode of The Herbalist Path. If it is helpful for you, I would be so grateful if you would share it with your friends or leave me a review, pretty please. Hopefully a good review. You know, I like those ones better. They make me happy. And they also help other people hear this kind of stuff. And that's how we make herbalism spread like wildflowers, which is the whole mission. Thank you so much, and happy, oh my gosh, we're so close to spring. Have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of The Herbalist Path. Being on this journey with you is absolutely incredible. If you dig this episode, please leave me a review on your favorite podcast player and share it with your friends so that together we can make herbalism #spread like wildflowers. On another note, I must mention that while I know you're getting some good info here, it's important to remember that this podcast is purely for entertainment and educational purposes and is not intended to be a substitute for medical treatment. While the information in this podcast is absolutely relevant, herbs work differently for each person and each condition. That's why I recommend you work with a qualified practitioner, whether that be another herbalist, a naturopath, or your doctor. So thank you again. I am truly honored that you're tuning into these episodes and on the path with me to make sure that there's an herbalist in every home again. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends so that we can make herbalism #spread like wildflowers. It has been so much fun and so, joyous watching all of my medicinal plant friends popping up in my garden, from the elecampane to the comfrey and the arnica. I love seeing these friends pop up. And if you are still trying to decide what to grow in your medicinal herb garden, you've got to grab my guide. It's all about the most essential herbs that every mom should know and should grow. So I teach you how to grow them and the many different ways that you can use them. If you want to grab the guide, go ahead. It's free, and I'm pretty sure you're going to get a lot of delight and use out of it. And there's a link to it in the show notes. I'm wishing you tons of happy medicine planting.